Welcome back! This video will cover the remaining quest in Everstar Grove, beginning with the second episode of the Zone story. For the first episode, please see Part 1. The numbering system for the quest is continued from the first video to keep them in sync for the Zone. For anyone starting with Part 2, I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum, but can't remove them completely while still showing the quest, so consider yourself warned. As always, follow along or use the links in the description below to jump right to the quest you need. Speak to the Elderoot to accept Elderoot's request, which unlocks the story arc Elderoot's Affliction. This quest is unique to those so far in that it doesn't have its own objectives. Instead, you need to accept and complete other quests from Queen Miala Everstar and Victor Lazarin to make progress. Look to your left and you'll see that the Queen has moved onto the platform next to you, so speak with her first to accept the quest, Save the Keepers. You can also ask for information about the Keepers or the Queen herself at this point. Descend the platform and speak to Victor Lazarin to accept his quest, A Plagued Forest. Once you have them both, it's time to head into Blight Glen. Note that all three of these quests appear in the World Story category of the quest tracker rather than the usual Zone story, so if you have trouble finding them, try enabling that category. Follow the northwestern road heading away from Everstar Refuge to reach the Blighted Glen. There is one last hazard to watch for, which is particular to this area. Watch for wispy round clouds of green smoke. This is actually poisonous blight gas and will start its own counter if you pass through it. The counter climbs quickly but has no effect until it reaches 100, at which point you will suffer a blight gas debuff that ticks off moderate damage and decreases your movement speed. The counter will decrease just as quickly after you leave the hazard area, so stepping out of the gas should remove the debuff right away. Honestly, you probably won't even notice this one if you're just running through, but don't strand your character in the green clouds if you need to leave the keyboard. As with his Living Batteries quest from earlier, Lazarin's A Plagued Forest quest overlaps with another challenge. Defeat any Bark Blight creature in the Glen to start collecting Bark Blight glands and to trigger the challenge Bark Blight Basher. As with all item drop quests, be sure to vacuum your loot after defeating a mob to get credit toward the objective. You can turn this in to Victor Lazarin using your Datacron. On the same call, Lazarin will give you a follow-up quest, Queen of the Blight. You won't receive credit for Elderoot's Help Victor Lazarin objective until this is completed, and this quest will also appear under the World Story category in your tracker. While bashing the Bark Blight, watch for interactable root-like plants called Living Root Keepers. They'll be stuck halfway out of the ground and are sometimes attacked by the local Bark Blight. Clear out any enemies and interact with these little guys to rescue them for the quest Save the Keepers. On my run, I had to rescue about 5 of them to complete the objective. Accept the Datacron call from Queen Miala Everstar to turn in the quest and accept the follow-up objective, Mender Bender. As with Lazarin's request, this one also appears as a World Story objective and is required to complete Miala's objective for Elderoot's request. A local mini-boss called the Head toward the entrance to the Blighted Tunnel along the path toward the end of the Glen, but don't go in just yet. There is a hidden quest here that you can unlock by defeating a local mini-boss called the Bark Blight Horror, who lives just past the tunnel entrance at the very edge of the Blighted Glen. He has more health and hits a little harder than other Bark Blight creatures in this area. Additionally, he does have a wide frontal AoE attack, but this has a decently long charge and you can evade it by taking a few steps back. Defeat the horror and collect your loot to receive the Bark Blight Horror's skull. You can interact with this from your inventory to accept the quest, A Lurking Threat. Enter the Blighted Tunnel and run all the way to the back, where the tunnel opens up into a wide cavern. Immediately after entering this area, you will see a stationary Living Root Mender to your right. Interact with it to awaken the first Living Root Mender and complete the first step of the Mender Bender quest. Unlike some of the other quests up until now, I do believe you have to awaken the Menders in a particular order, so be sure to grab this guy on your way in. The next objective will be the Bark Blight Queen in the center of the room, who you need to bring down for Victor Lazarin's quest, Queen of the Blight. As with the Bark Blight horror, she hits a little harder and has more health than other mobs in this area. But to reward your effort, defeating the Queen will cause all other Bark Blight mobs in the area to fear you and to no longer attack you on sight, with the one exception of the Bark Blight horror. Loot the Queen, and you can turn the quest in to Victor Lazarin to complete both Queen of the Blight and the first objective of Elderoot's request. The second Living Root Mender is hiding in a crevice to the east side of this area, past some hanging moss that can make him difficult to spot. Interact with him to wake him up and complete the second Mender Bender objective. The last Mender is in the same section of the tunnel, at the back of the cave behind the Bark Blight Queen. Awaken this one, and you'll be able to turn the quest in to Queen Everstar using your Datacron. This will also complete the second objective of Elderoot's request. Exit the Blighted Tunnel and look north, to your right. Now that some of the pests have been cleared away, a Living Root Keeper will be waiting with a new task quest for you. Speak to him to accept Replanting Campaign, which you can complete on your way out of the Glen. As you head back toward Elderoot Refuge, watch for patches of soil on the ground that sport the interactive glow and gear icon. This is the fertile ground you need for Replanting Campaign. Interact with it to summon a Living Root Keeper and to watch new plant life grow. My run required around 3 summons at different patches of ground to complete the objective. Speak to Queen Miala Everstar using your Datacron or meet her back at Elderoot Refuge to turn it in. Head back to the platform in Elderoot Refuge where the Espernetic interface waits. Before you speak to the Elderoot, though, chat with Victor Lazarin to complete a lurking threat if you defeated the Bark Blight horror from earlier. Climb the platform and speak to the Elderoot tree to turn in Elderoot's request. You'll be rewarded with your choice of a new shield along with some currency and experience. Once the quest is complete, speak to the Elderoot again to accept the quest, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know. A cutscene will play as soon as you accept. After the cutscene, track down Queen Miala Everstar back at her old spot on the raised platform in Elderoot Refuge to turn the quest in. This will complete the second story arc of Everstar Grove and grant the achievement Episode Completion, Elderoot's Affliction. Interestingly, this also preemptively granted the Episode Completion achievement for the following story arc, Retaliation. Don't panic if you see this, as you won't be locked out of the remaining zone story or have any issues with your progress. It just appears that the achievement is associated with the wrong quest, as shown here. So, free achievement. If you don't achieve the Retaliation episode completion at this point, check your logs, as this may or may not be updated in the future. After completing the Elderoot's Affliction arc, speak to the Queen to accept the quest, Taking the Offensive. This begins the final episode of the Everstar Grove Zone story, Retaliation. Follow the path northeast out of Elderoot Refuge and turn right at the fork. Shortly after the turn, there will be a vengeful Mender to the right of the trail. Speak to him to accept the task by the throat. Head toward Bloodbloom Vale, but watch for large seeds on the ground as you go. Interact with one of the Elderoot seeds to collect it. Doing so will grant a 10-second speed boost, so if spaced just right, these can help you to quickly traverse the Vale. Some of the seeds are being tended to by Grove Guardians, but if you really want to, you can collect the seeds right out from under them without consequence. Collect around 3 seeds to complete the first objective for By the Throat. Continue along the main road into Bloodbloom Vale and look for an Orin named Arwick Redleaf to your left, next to a large blue map screen and Victor Lazarin. Speak to him to complete the quest, Taking the Offensive. Arwick will also offer the next quest in the story, Arwick's Revenge. Before accepting it, you can also use the optional text here to learn more about him. Victor Lazarin will be standing at the table just next to Arwick. Speak to him to accept another piece of the zone story, No Escape. Follow the main road through Bloodbloom Vale. Once you pass the Exile barricades, the sky will become dark and Dominion Firestorm soldiers will begin to appear. Fight any of the Firestorm forces to earn progress toward Arwick's Revenge. On my run, Firestorm Bombers gave the least credit, while Firestorm Guardians and Sentries gave the most. Feel free to take your time and tackle this one as you complete the other quests, since these enemies appear frequently from here to the end of the zone. As soon as you begin to encounter Dominion forces, look to your right for a small trail leading south up a hill. The path is littered with low-health Chua called Bee-Stung Scouts, which won't try to attack you. Follow the path until you find a scout with a quest marker, and inspect him to complete the instant quest for the Glory of the Dominion. This is the final quest needed for Everstar Grove's One Click Away achievement, so if you picked up the previous 2, congratulations! A snippet of Datacron text will play automatically once the quest is complete to explain the scout's extremely important mission in the Grove. Head further down the main road and look for hovering metal machines with flamethrowers attached. These are Firestorm Assault Deforesters, which you need to deactivate for the second objective of By the Throat. 3 flamethrowers did the trick on my run, and you can deactivate the deforesters by standing close to one and interacting with it. As soon as the last one is down, you can turn this into Arwick Redleaf using your Datacron to collect the reward. Victor Lazarin's No Escape quest can be completed around the same area. Look for Chua drill dozers as you go. They're large machines with drills on the front sticking up out of the ground. Approach one and interact with it to plant the gas bombs. You'll be blasted back and low health enemies will appear, but you don't have to fight them. Lazarin's poison will take care of it for you. On my run, it only required 2 sabotage drill dozers to complete the quest, and you can turn it in using your Datacron. That's about it for this section, so if you have any progress left to make on Arwick's Revenge, clear out more Firestorm mobs until it's complete. As with the others, you can turn it in with a Datacron call. Arwick will reward your efforts with a new quality weapon, which you can equip right away to trigger an imbuement quest called Everstar Tank Police. You can accept Arwick's next quest, Dominion's Demise, on the same call. Now you're ready to blaze a path to the end of the zone. Keep following the road until you reach a metal bridge. Cross it to enter Fort Firestorm, the Dominion Force's base in the area. There are a few mobs hanging around the edges and entrance of the fort, but most of this area is guarded by a single mob called the Firestorm Tank. Make sure to equip your reward item from the Arwick's Revenge quest, then take down the tank to complete the objectives for both the Imbuement quest Everstar Tank Police and the story quest Dominion's Demise. The tank has more help than other mobs in this area and uses long-range missile AoE attacks that you may want to evade during the fight. Win, and you'll also unlock the achievement Firestorm Defeated. Not bad for one fight, huh? From here, run straight ahead to the very end of the path and into the cave Everstar Passage. Friendly refugees will be running in the same direction, so feel free to follow them in if you get turned around. Queen Miala Everstar will be standing at the very back of the cave. Speak to her to turn in Dominion's Demise and to receive another piece of high-quality gear. There's only one quest left. Speak to the Queen again to accept the final mission of Everstar Grove, Path to Celestion. The portal to Celestion is the floor-to-ceiling glowing circle just ahead, at the very back of the cave. Approach and interact with it to trigger a cutscene and to be transported out of Everstar Grove and into the next zone. You will be able to return to the Grove from the same point at which you arrive in Celestion if you missed anything or just want to soak up more of the ambiance. Once in Celestion, exit the cave and follow the road southeast until you see Arwick Redleaf next to a table on your right. Speak to him to complete Path to Celestion, and this zone is complete. Presumably, you should receive the Retaliation episode completion achievement at this point if the developers patch it in the future. Congratulations on aiding the Exile refugees and uncovering the Elden experiments in Everstar Grove. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!